Today, 'twas a dark and stormy night, where Heather and Beach apparently aren't here.
Hey, Paul.
Hello?
How
I
you
can
doing?
I can hear you.
Oh,
Yeah?
neat.
I had to resend the video and redo the link. I don't know if that... Oh, there we are.
Hey!
Good stuff. We had the weirdest network blip where basically everything cut out, except the modem was still operating, the wireless router was still operating, like everything was still operating. But it's like you don't have access to the internet anymore. It's like that's cool. Was that on our end?
I guess so.
It didn't seem to be. It's like did something happen at like further down the line? But it only happened for like about 10
I
seconds.
don't know. It's not a mystery worth delving into.
Yeah.
Internet
Yeah.
burp. It happens. Hey everybody. Welcome to ChillPoint, the show where we talk about video game news in a more relaxed, casual environment than the extremely business-like CheckPoint that we do on Thursday.
CheckPoint's very serious,
Mhm.
except in those outtakes where I find the non-serious part to put in.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Fox Ladies.
I cut that part out.
That was there was a lot of people in the comments, I want to say defending themselves, or at least attempting to explain themselves, rationalize themselves.
There was one that said someone needed to explain Gen Z humor to us, and I don't think that's true.
You'll have to excuse me, but
We don't really need that.
I definitely did not give a shit about the comments yesterday.
Okay. Well, good for you.
I was like, some people are probably gonna get real angry about something.
Actually, they weren't really.
They weren't, yeah.
There were way less angry comments in that one than I've seen in a while.
Oh, that's surprising.
They were less. It wasn't that they were angry. They were just like, feeling called out, shall we say?
Aww.
There was a little bit of that.
Yeah.
That's super cute.
Yeah, welcome to the show where we talk. This is if you've seen CheckPoint, this is ChillPoint, where we talk about some of the stuff we talked about on CheckPoint, but also talk about other video game news that we maybe didn't get to on CheckPoint. So let's get started here with this thing from Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memory.
Yeah. So the only thing I can think is that there's probably like an online play thing and you have a user ID name or something that goes with it. Because I don't know where else you would have
I mean, even if it's
words.
I think there is an online component, but like even if there wasn't an online component, they still might have a list of prohibited words for your user for like your name. The fact that there isn't, like, I feel like there should be some publicly available repository of naughty words.
Yeah.
I mean,
Urban
yeah.
Dictionary.
I am curious where the medical ones come from.
And like why specific medications like Robitussin, Prozac, Quaaludes, why those ones in particular are blocked as opposed to, other ones.
I mean, maybe they're not done their word list yet, but they had one, because I'm assuming this came data mined out of the demo. So
Right,
maybe for the demo, because there's no place in the demo for you to write anything, at least not on the Switch version. Maybe there's a maybe they only turned in half their homework, and they need to turn in the rest before the game actually goes live.
Maybe it's just maybe this is just a demo of the bad words list. If you want to get the full bad words list, you have to buy the full game.
Right. There'll
how
be
they get
DLC
you.
later.
DLC, yeah. DLC your bad words list.
I saw a thing. I remember reading a article, a programming article. That was talking about they were just making a system that generated random strings of characters for like tickets, and of course, every once in a while it would spit out a random word that happened to be a swear word or a naughty word.
Okay.
And so, the order comes down from on high that they have to stop this from happening, right? That we can't have our, the ticket IDs include swear words in them. And so apparently it was one of these things where like a bunch of people sat around coming up with big long lists of all the naughty words that they could possibly have.
Yeah.
And then some bright spark was like, why don't we just not put vowels into the... just make it so it doesn't use, vowel letters as part of the generation thing. Then it can't make any real words.
That's very smart.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that's what they ended up doing. And all you're doing is removing, 5 or, was it 5, 6? How many vowels are there?
6.
7?
If you want to count W, yeah.
Why?
I
I don't think anybody counts
don't.
W as a vowel.
Yeah. What,
The Welsh.
oh.
Do
Well,
they?
we should count W
Yeah.
then to include them.
The W as a vowel sound has an ooh sound to it, and so they it's like the easiest way to remember how the W sounds as a vowel is that it's 2 V's, and 2 V's in Latin are really just 2 U's, so it would be ooh.
All right.
Double
Yeah,
U,
I want
right?
to count W. We don't need that letter anyway.
People can obviously recognize words without vowels in them. Recognizing the word
yeah.
isn't the problem. In this
That's
case,
very
the problem in this case the problem was, actually having it there.
what-
Once you start having people having to be like, but there's an F, a C, and a K in this thing, then it's like, okay,
What's
we
that
can't be
brand?
held responsible for every possible permutation.
Yeah,
French Connection UK.
yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
used to think that was just people trying to get away with putting words on their clothes that they weren't allowed to.
Yeah, I think they were.
I mean, it is like
Yeah.
that was a marketing thing by FC UK for that.
Yeah,
reason.
but I didn't recognize it as a brand name. Like when I was,
Oh,
when I
I
was a
see,
kid,
yeah.
I was just like, oh, this is a thing people are actually putting on their shirts. Like like when you see people do jean jackets and they got the patches everywhere. We didn't
But that
exactly
was-
have a store like that where I lived.
That was absolutely a marketing ploy by Fashion Connection UK to make it look like they were swearing on things, and then be like,
Can't stop us. It's the name of our company.
I'm not touching you. And then in other objectionable things, this SNK AllStars put out a thing that is apparently against the proud spirit of the SNK games, fighting games.
Yeah.
Which I feel like it's not. It's
Elaborate.
more.
I wanna hear where this goes.
I feel like SNK is more angry that you're saying the quiet part out loud rather than that it exists. Like there's there's certain aspects, shall we say, of the character designs of these games. They're not very enlightened in certain regards.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? I think maybe they're a little too enlightened in certain regards.
And that they've always sort of embraced that. But this is just like, hey, where it's supposed to be subtext.
Yeah. We've all seen SNK Tag Team heroines. It's subtext, the fact that they're all dressed in bras and panties and fighting each other. It's weird, right? Because it's like that's a thing. I think that's like, okay, you can say that, oh, but that's how the girls want to dress when they fight each other. It's like, that's how you drew them. So that's one thing. But then this kind of like went like another step too far, where it was like, Terry's going to come along and slap them on their butts. And I'm like, I guess it's one thing if they're all friends, but they're not all friends because they're constantly fighting each other, aren't they?
Well,
so
I mean,
they're fighting. They're not fighting. They're fighting each other in the context of a fighting tournament, though, right?
Yeah,
they're not just beating each other up on the street.
Well, they're not. But I think it'd be hard to justify the fact that yes, these people, like, it's. I don't think it's pro wrestling. Like, I don't think like there's the kayfabe of the SNK, like King of Fighters or something, where it's like we all talk a good game about fighting each other in the tournament, but when the lights are off, we're all around like eating ramen together and slapping each other's asses on motorcycles. Like, I think that's a little harder to justify. Also,
my favorite. I know very little about the King of Fighters games. And so I liked that in the comments, there was people like, that's such a dumb, people who knew more about it was like, that's such a dumb, thing for them to do, for all these reasons that's totally the wrong character and its relationship. And then be like, and also, like, one of those girls is like 13, man. Come on.
There's that too, yeah.
But then you look at it, it's like, which one is supposed to be 13?
Yeah, anime rules apply.
But okay, sure.
Yeah, I definitely had that same reaction. I was like, wait, one of them's 13 years old. I can't tell. SNK.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot to answer for then in all of that. But yeah, just basically the idea of this stupid, and it is. I said it was callously shitty, and I'm like, it really just is callously shitty. It's like, this isn't good representation. Like, SNK has already gone over the line, I think, a lot in terms of this stuff, and it's like, now you just doing this is just even worse.
Well, because it's Terry is meant to be like this. Is a character that they've been promoting as like this really
heroic guy.
So having him go and slap ladies on the ass is kind of the thing you probably don't want. It would be one thing if he was like a villain who's just like, yeah, that doesn't make him not a misogynist.
Yeah,
but it's like it's at least you're like, okay, we were supposed to hate him. I guess it's still stupid.
If it was Karnov, it'd be different. Karnov on a motorcycle.
My other favorite comment was people being like, if they wanted a SNK character to be slapping people on the ass, here is a list of all the characters that would be appropriate for. There's like multiple characters that were like, yes, that would be perfectly in character for that person.
As we have proven, Terry has a history of doing this, because in the Fatal Fury anime, which I'm sure SNK bankrolled, he does that. From
like what? The 70s?
From the 90s.
That didn't look like 90s anime.
That was definitely
like late 80s best.
Let's have you see. I think you're suffering from anime time compression.
Look, I do put a lot of my 2000s anime into my 90s anime, but that's also roughly when I actually watched anime. So, but that still looked late 80s. He's gonna find it.
He's growing as a person.
Okay, Fatal Fury the motion picture, 1994.
I was off by a year.
And there were preceding two TV specials, Legend of the Hungry Wolf and Fatal Fury 2 The New Battle, which would have probably been then on 93? 1990. Oh, Legend of the Hungry Wolf. Fatal Fury Legend of the Hungry Wolf came out December 23rd, 1992.
Maybe they shouldn't have called it Legend of the Hungry Wolf, because I feel like the only context I have is this movie is that line and him putting his hand on a girl's ass, and that's just
And then
Sexual predator territory.
Fatal Fury 2: The New Battle came out July 31st, 1993. So basically, yeah, you're right in the right neighborhood. 1993, roughly, when all three of these things came out.
Early 2000s anime is better unless it's Sailor Moon, and then in which case 96 anime is the best.
I have no reason to doubt your that idea. I bow to your superior knowledge in both 90s anime and Sailor Moon anime.
Anyway, I feel like we have circled the drain on this topic
sufficiently, yeah. And speaking of circling the drain,
are we talking about
2077?
It's like a turd you won't flush. Can't flush.
Can't get out.
So this is
Turd
actually
can't
like
get out.
This is kind of a hard, not a hard story, but it's like it's a weird story to talk about because it's only news, really, because of CD Projekt Red's statements, right? Like,
well, yeah.
A game being delayed and a game doing crunch time isn't news. That basically happens all the time. But CD Projekt Red keeps coming out and being very adamant about they're not going to do crunch and they're not going to delay it. And so, yes, when they do crunch and they do delay, like, you know, because there's been, I've seen not only in our comments, but also just in the comments of other articles talking about this, or other people talking about this thing. People are like, why is everyone talking about this such a big deal? And it's like, it isn't, except for the fact that CD Projekt Red said that they weren't, right up into the morning of the delay. Yeah. They said they weren't delaying it.
I doubt that social media person had any clue that was going to happen.
And I bet you the upper management had no idea that social media person had made that tweet.
Well, no, I mean, why would they? It's
so far removed, right?
I never answer anything on social media when I can't actually answer it. I ignore it a lot of the time because that's the safest option you can go with. But if you're doing a thing for a company who's very adamant that thing is going to make the date finally, and people are asking, and you want to be like, well, yeah, of course we're going to make the date. Like we've said that, and it's going to happen.
Now, Fastlane in chat here said that CDPR should have just gone with the whole "it'll be done when it's done" thing, and I agree. That's kind of that. We want game developers to have that attitude. I think these days is that more often than not, it's like we want people to be like, mandatory crunch is a bad idea. We'd rather you just take longer with the game to finish it. Set your deadlines and push them if you need to, but you shouldn't be crunching. Like those kind of things.
From a consumer side, sure.
But I think that like there's a few problems with that assertion as well, because it. God, I've 3 steps ahead of myself in my own brain already, and it's such a problem. It really is, because for the one thing, Nintendo, for example, can say Breath of the Wild 2 will be done when it's done, right? The next Mario game will be done when it's done. Like these games will be done when they're done. Why? Because Nintendo owns the only console they'll be releasing it on, and for them to be able to say, we've had a slip. And Metroid Prime 4 we're starting it again, and it'll be done when it's done. They can do that because they have the benefit of owning the system that it's coming out on. CD Projekt Red, if it was coming out on PC, which is a platform that really nobody owns, if it was a PC exclusive, they'd be able to say, it'll be done when it's done, it'll come out, you guys will love it, it'll be great, do that. But because they had deals to make it exclusive on a console, console people that they're working with are going to be like, well, we want to know when this is coming to the platform because we have to make it part of the marketing push, and we want to know when all these things are when everything's going to be happening, and like they're building because this is such a huge game.
I was going to say, and to be fair, one of the main reasons they cited for this most recent delay is the coordination of the multi-platform aspect of this, that it's the PC, Xbox, PlayStation, all the certifications and all that kind of stuff. To which, of course, everybody's like, then make it a PC exclusive or bring out the other ones later. But
Yeah.
I mean
it
that
doesn't
happens
work out that way.
actually quite regularly for games that are multi-platform to not come out all at the same time. It's why you often see Switch versions come later.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, Switch specifically also, they often have to do a lot of work on because it's a different architecture than the other systems. But
and personally, I'm actually like the fact that this has happened. I think has been really important because CDPR took this stance of we're not doing mandatory crunch. Right? We're not making it mandatory.
Yeah, they wrote another lie. Yeah.
Right. But the thing is, like, we're not making crunch mandatory. What instead is happening? So if they had delivered on time, the world would have been content with the idea that, wow, look at that. CDPR was able to put out a massive AAA video game that's incredibly popular, that everyone wanted to get a chance to play this, and they did it without mandatory crunch. That would have been the narrative. But what got revealed was, no, they were crunching everybody the entire time. They just weren't making it mandatory. They were making it this thing
highly suggested,
right? It's the kind of it's like working for the kind of traditional idea of when you work for a company in Japan, where you are going to be putting in all this extra time and you don't get to say anything about it because there's an internal pressure from the rest of the group to be like, if I'm working here, you're going to work here too. If I'm going to work until 8 o'clock at night, you're going to work until 10 o'clock at night. We have this, there's this kind of like the internal business culture of a lot of companies like that push that out. And that's what was going on here as we've discovered. So it makes it very, this has actually been, I think, a very healthy thing overall. When you let the pox out into the world and you start letting it breathe, right, that you start to realize that it's like, oh, if we just need to aerate this goddamn story so that everybody could actually hear what's going on.
I feel like your metaphors.
Yeah, maybe not the best metaphor right now, Beach, but yes.
Just like a little bit of extra thought.
Don't let the pox out into the world.
Yeah.
No.
They needed to let some fresh air into that company, and the next thing you know, all the air is like blowing all this shit around, and it's like, oh, now we actually get to see how CDPR operates. Now we look, okay, ignore the metaphor part, but I think that's an important point. It's that now everybody gets to see how this company, who swore that they would not be doing crunch, how they actually operate. They do crunch.
People have known that for a while from other games.
Sure, but this was a thing where it's like, we've made a statement where we don't do that. And it's like, I don't know about that. And it turns out it's like, oh, actually turns out you lied to us. You've been lying to everybody, and that's probably true of every company that says that they don't crunch. It's like, that might be the case. Unless you're like a tiny indie where you're like, we're going to stand by our principles and we're going to have games that come out late.
Anyway. I won't say that we're not going to do more Cyberpunk 2077 stories if
probably
more
not.
Info comes out, but I mean,
so this last one would have done with getting a game done in time for verification, which they didn't want to put off, which makes sense in a degree. It makes sense that you don't want to put something off. It doesn't necessarily make sense that you shouldn't put something off. And then it failed, so they have to delay. But we all know that just means that's going to be those weeks full of more crunch because they have a new deadline they're trying to get out.
Right, yeah. And it does, whether or not you are, excited about Cyberpunk 2077 as a game, to check it out. I would personally be, maybe not running into the pre-order day one grab. Because if they're having this much stuff for their day zero patches and stuff, The Witcher was known to have like some pretty egregious bugs for the first little bit when it came out. Stuff got better. So yeah, I mean, this is obviously they are coming right down to the wire in terms of squashing bugs and things. So it might be a little bit rocky at the start, let's just say. Oculus, Facebook. Two
It's
great
still
tastes
around.
that taste great. Never. Two great tastes like toothpaste and orange juice.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like you said in the story, it's one of those things that I guess shouldn't be a surprise that you lose access to your games if you delete your Facebook account. Like that's sort of the. It's one of those things where it's like that is kind of how it's like once they put that thing into place,
Yeah.
that's what that means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But actually seeing it in black and white, be like, oh yeah, right. Not only are we losing like the all the privacy stuff, but then there's this extra tier of we're losing all our where you lose your stuff.
And I think there's like a larger point. Like the larger point there is what the thing that people complained about before when this was going on. It was the idea that I need to sign up for a Facebook account to use Oculus. Like I have a gaming system, but I have to sign up for that you had a single account for before. You could have an Oculus account before, and they're like, no, we're getting rid of that. Now you're going to need your Oculus or your Facebook account to subsume your Oculus account.
It would be like if PlayStation got bought by Twitter for some reason, and then Twitter said you had to have a Twitter account in order to have your PlayStation account.
Yeah, and I mean this was like, or actually when you had Skype, and you had a Skype account, and then Microsoft bought Skype, and at some point they said you can't have a Skype account anymore. You must convert it to a Microsoft account, which I didn't want. I was like, I don't have any need of having a Microsoft account, and I get the push for single sign-on because it is so much nicer to be able to say I need to sign into my Hotmail account and my Skype account and everything else that I have by just signing into my Microsoft account. I have one thing I have to remember to sign in. It's like I get that, but like from an IT perspective, that simplifies a lot of things. But from an end user perspective, sometimes I think that's needless simplicity. You know, it's like
well, it's this idea of like sometimes you want aspects of your life separate from each other.
Right.
I mean, for a long time they now can do it, but for a very long time, like you could only have one YouTube account associated with a particular email address or Google account.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so you had the situation where, people don't necessarily want to have all their YouTube videos on one account. Sometimes there's different audiences for different YouTube videos, or you don't want your personal YouTube your personal account
personal
to be the place where all your office's YouTube videos are. And they didn't really have that connection. They do now they do, but it took them a long time to get that into place.
It's basically I got to have a bit of a polemic this week, which was a lot of fun in itself to just kind of throw that out to be like, look, this was clearly something that was going to bite everybody in the ass to begin with, and because I don't have an Oculus and I'm not a VR player, I kind of don't give a shit. So I'm gonna be maybe a little ruder than I need to be towards the people who feel like they've been sidelined or backstabbed by Facebook in this regard.
Well, I don't think it's by Facebook. I think it's by Oculus.
Yeah, I mean, people who signed up to, but I mean, anybody who signed up to get an Oculus after it became part of Facebook's thing
that those people aren't going to care. They're going to know at that point, right?
Yeah, and you were saying too that someone you follow on Twitter was talking about how they have an older Oculus device that still works off an Oculus.
Yeah, so
account.
because there's I don't remember the name of it, but they've got like a second one coming out. I think it's the more mobile one.
Okay.
And when you buy a new
Quest?
Oculus, yeah, I think it's the Quest. So like if you buy a new one, you have to sign up for an account right away. But if you have like something already and you have an Oculus account already, Facebook isn't going to make you move over to their Facebook thing for like 2 years. And so they were like, well, I already have my thing and I use it for fitness, and I guess I'll use it for the next 2 years, and I will not buy a new one. And when 2 years is up, this one is garbage.
It's like, then I guess I'd buy an
that's
HTC
what I'm
Vive,
doing. And
you
I'm
know?
like, okay. I mean, it makes sense.
Anyway. Unfortunate,
But
and as some people in the comments or in the chat were saying, it's especially unfortunate because Oculus is one of, if not the sort of forerunner in the VR space. You do have HTC Vive and PlayStation VR and some other things, but Oculus is really the one of the biggest players, and to have them kind of be be hamstrung for something that has nothing to do with the actual VR technology at all is frustrating.
yeah, it just, to me, just goes, there's a reason I still buy physical. Okay.
Yeah.
I know that's not possible with VR games. I'm pretty sure those are digital only, but at the same time.
Yeah. And then Graham had this roundup of news here. We've got good old King of Kong, Billy Mitchell, no longer King of Kong, I guess. Continuing his this back and forth between him and Twin Galaxies about his Donkey Kong score. Which the deal with that apparently is there's very substantial evidence that the score that he had was achieved on an emulator as opposed to an actual arcade system. Mm-hmm. Which to be clear doesn't indicate that he necessarily like cheated in order to get that in terms of like anything in the game. Mm-hmm. But for the purposes of the score, it has to be on an actual original Donkey Kong board just to avoid any possible stuff. Because there's all things a lot of things you can do in emulators to mess around with stuff.
I imagine it has to do with like him not being able to change out to a different controller and other stuff as well. Like, because every kind of contest thing I've seen with a lot of stuff like that, they provide the gear for you, or you have to use like the original settings of the game. Like there's restrictions because they don't want you changing things. I mean, I was reading an article this was a while ago, because this obviously has been going on for this back and forth has been going on for a while, but I was reading an article about what like if you go sort of frame by frame, you can see like as he's playing how the levels, how like when he starts a level, like how it loads, like what sprites load in first and stuff, and the way it happens on his recording doesn't match what should be happening if it was the actual like the original arcade board loads things differently than an emulator loads things. So there's pretty substantial evidence that it is in fact not a real thing. But anyway, U.S. Navy Esports continues to be a dumb thing. They're really fighting an uphill battle on this one, which I guess the Navy is not very good.
No, mostly they fight on more like even surfaces.
Well, I mean, is it really even? Water kind of goes up and down.
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't think you tend to go up the water if you can help it. But
you don't tend to find water going up hills anyway. So yeah.
That's true. The water runs downhill.
It's the thing that I find so peculiar about this is this idea that they kind of maintain that they are not recruiting, which makes like no sense. Like I don't know what the rules are around military recruiting in the States, like whether there's certain things that they're not allowed to do in terms of like whether if they're not allowed to recruit like in certain areas because they might be hitting underage people or something. I don't. Maybe there's. I would assume there's rules about that.
Right.
But whatever the case, because it's like if they are indeed, like if they aren't recruiting, if this isn't a recruiting thing, then it's a massive waste of military money.
Yeah.
It's like, if it's not a recruiting thing, what is it?
I feel like what it is.
I feel like we should object on the basis of like wasted funding as opposed to and if it is military recruiting, then just say that this is an innovative new way of recruiting.
I looked at this because like when I think of when you're trying to recruit somebody to be a part of something, regardless of whether it's the Navy or it could be anything.
The basketball team.
Sure, right, that kind of thing. Is that there's the hard sell and there's the soft sell.
Right.
And the soft sell is generally just advertising and generally trying to give yourself a more positive spin, a more relatable spin. And nobody on those streams perhaps has been directed. I don't know, I haven't watched them, and I don't actually have the directives in front of me. But I don't think anybody on those streams have been directed to say that it's like, oh, well, if you like this, if you like seeing what I'm doing here, that I'm basically being paid by our government's military to sit in this room and play fucking Overwatch all day, you can have this too. Just go down to your local recruitment center and go to the website or do this or do this or do that. If those actions aren't actually happening, then it's not even really a recruitment exercise. It's more of the more passive thing of like somebody at home thinking like, wow, cool, I could be doing this.
Positive outreach. I mean, the
the
document is more stuff like, if people say they're interested in the military, then you'd be like, well, you could contact your local office.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this is more of a Masonic thing where you're not allowed as a Mason to go recruit people, but if people ask you directly through the actions you're submitting, then they can talk to you about it.
Yeah. That's literally how if you want to be a Freemason, you just go find a Freemason and say, hey, I think this is really interesting, I'd like to know more, and perhaps join your fraternity. And I mean, that's what I did.
Well, if you're a dude.
And yes.
Don't try to if you're a lady.
Just go look for people building walls and you're like,
those are operatives opposed to speculative Masons.
Wink, wink.
It's like, I think is that guy flirting with me? Is he available? But it's very if the thing here is the to be one, ask one, right? You want to be in the military? You actually have to say that you want to do that and ask me about it, and I'll point you to the right direction. But I'm not going to say anything. And it's like it's that kind of activity.
Consent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's less people are going to look at us and be like, oh, I want to be on the Esports military team, and more like, oh, they seem like a fun bunch of people and they're all friends, and it would be nice if I also could join a group and be friends in a group like you do with other clubs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Only this club involves a few more things you might not really want to do.
Boot camp, for example.
I will say, as somebody in the chat says, I guess if you want to evaluate, uses of military money, setting up an esports team, probably one of the more benign uses of military money. Yeah, so there's that.
Yeah. I kind of felt like when I heard about this, I was kind of like, I kind of don't have a problem with them deciding they want to do things this way because, hey, at least it's not actively killing people.
And it is part of, there is this part of this all existing idea of, the military sort of just doing, whatever air shows and different things, to Michael Bay movies, things to make the military look good.
Look, if you want to join my secret club, you got to do more than come up to me and ask me if you can join my secret club. There's rules, regulations, and you have to find 3 secret words. And once you find those, then we can talk.
I was always confused when I don't know if it's still the case, but for a while, the the slogan, Army of One.
Ah, yes.
It's like, that seems like a dumb slogan. You don't want to be you want to be the army of a whole bunch of people. The guy in the army of one is not going to do very well. Like, I want to know that there's a lot of people with me and we're all going to go fight together.
Yeah.
Hey, how would you like to be part of a squad? Oh, that'd be great. You'll be a squad of one. I thought this was a group assignment. It is, but there's only one person in your group and it's you. Can I have a buddy? No, you're a squad of one.
Yeah.
Like, I get that it's like, you'll learn self-reliance and stuff, but anyway. And then you can have an Xbox fridge. Well, no, you can't.
I mean, you
there's
can't.
only three.
Three people can have an Xbox fridge.
But there is a giveaway running, apparently. I was not aware that this was like...
I saw a tweet about it.
Because Graham's thing is like, hey, look, they have a video of this fridge, and it's like the one thing that got left out is, of course, the thing that we didn't promote, which is there is a giveaway happening on Twitter. You can win one of these.
Or you can try.
I have a lot of respect that Microsoft, like, it's not just like a CGI mock-up that they made for a laugh. It is a real fridge that it really exists. That is amazing. Although somebody said, it doesn't have a freezer.
No.
It's like a giant fridge with no freezer.
It's like your college fridge.
I'm curious too, because I don't know, judging from all the everything that they did in the video, I can't tell if it's a full-sized fridge or if it's a bar fridge.
I don't know if it's a bar fridge, but I can't imagine that's actually a full-sized fridge.
Well, that means that then it's apartment size, but apartment size fridges tend to be the almost normal height, but tend to be like much thinner.
Can't you get a fridge that's bigger than a bar fridge, but it's not a bar fridge?
My impression was that it was like not only a full size, like actually, like, because it looks quite wide in comparison. Like it seems wider than a normal fridge.
Like everyone in chat is saying that, oh, it's full size. I'm like, well, citation needed then, chat. Point us to a website that says this is the actual dimensions of this fridge. I challenge you.
It's like
it's a pretty weak challenge, to be honest.
Like it's actually not that different. The fridge I have in my apartment is ginormous.
Is it glowing?
No.
Does it have a green light? Is it black?
No.
None of these things are true.
See,
if it is a full-size fridge
big,
and it doesn't have a freezer, that's terrifying.
Here's a video. Here's a picture with Snoop Dogg standing next to the fridge.
That's in a weird green void. That could have been arted up.
Snoop Dogg.
That could have been an actual. That could be an actual Xbox Series X he's standing next to.
Well, there's also a picture of it besides an Xbox.
I do like the picture of the Xbox inside the fridge.
So I mean, that gives you a sense of scale, right?
To stop you from overheating your new console, I guess.
Yeah, that's fair.
Is Snoop Dogg gonna get one? Why is Snoop Dogg promoting it?
I don't know.
Mashable apparently has a thank you.
There's
to
a
chat.
lot of eggs in this fridge.
Mashable says it's 6 feet tall. So yeah, it's a full size fridge, and it is a full size fridge.
6 dozen eggs in this fridge.
I wonder who makes it.
Yeah,
the eggs.
and a lot of orange juice.
Yep.
I don't know what game that's
a lot of breakfast
to.
foods.
Yeah.
So breakfast fridge. This is just your breakfast fridge. You gotta use your own. You gotta get a lunch fridge and a dinner fridge. Unless you skip lunch, then you could just get yourself a non-breakfast fridge.
It's
one
a
with
fridge.
A freezer.
It's Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. He just needs lots of eggs and orange juice.
This is weird. The Darad00 posted a part of the rules, and in the rules it says the refrigerator manufacturer and model to be determined solely by the sponsor, which means that they've made one for the purposes of the ad, but they have not made all of them yet, and Microsoft gets to, or whoever's running this campaign within Microsoft, gets to decide the manufacturer and the model of the fridge, which means what you end up getting might not actually match what they showed off in the ad. It will still probably look like an Xbox Series X, but it could be made by a completely different company.
The scaled up packaging looks great.
Oh yeah, I agree. It's just a weird idea.
And then also KDA has a new song out, which KDA being the virtual K-pop band that Riot is creating, or Riot has created.
So, question: is Riot actually making video games anymore, or are they just making K-pop?
You don't know, League
Because
of
I'm
Legends
okay
is
with the K-pop thing, but like
League of
we don't
Legends
need
is
to
very
play
much a
League.
going concern, but it's clear that they see the K-pop, like, that aspect of it to be, it's like more than just this is a marketing thing for League of Legends. Like, they're putting way more effort into it than is necessary for it to be a marketing thing for League of Legends. It appears to be like they're just legitimately making this,
Yeah.
cool K-pop band, which lots of people seem to enjoy, separate from League of Legends.
Every League commercial I've seen always makes me mad because it looks really cool at the beginning. I think it's for a completely different game, and then it pops up with the League of Legends logo, and then I scream at my computer.
And then it shows gameplay, and you're like, oh, right, this game.
Yeah. I went to PAX once and told the guy at Riot that I didn't know what games they made.
Oh.
Which was not true, kind of, but it was really funny to watch his face.
Oh, was that when we got those
The fidget
spinners?
spinners?
Yeah. They're good fidget spinners.
Yeah.
Wow.
They were die-cast metal. They weren't like plastic with a weird bearing.
He was like,
really nice.
you would just have to like do a voice of a character from one of our games, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't know what games you actually make.
And he was like, I got a line of people to get through, just do a silly voice, and then you did, and then I did, and he's like, sweet, let's keep moving.
Yeah.
I'm
sure I made his weekend.
Yeah, I like you. I do like you just doing the cold put down on Riot Games. All right, so other stories that we didn't talk about before. Warframe. This is just this little story on Kotaku, and it's kind of a thing about, it's sort of about how there's a lot of great games these days. And this guy, the author of the story, is talking about how there's a lot of great games, and while I love Warframe, I haven't had a chance to get back to it lately. And you have a little dog, or a space dog that comes from an egg that you can you can have on your ship, and who follows you around, and can even come with you on assignments. And if you don't play the game for a while, it's kind of like a Tamagotchi. It'll get mad at you when you come back, and it'll be all sad.
But you don't like show up and you find it dead in a pile.
It doesn't
of
die.
Shit. Okay.
No.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But in the article he's talking about, like, in the fiction of the game, you're going out on these assignments when you're playing the game. But when you're not playing the game, you're like back in your ship where you are with your doggy. So it should be actually that you spent more time playing with your dog when you're not there. And your dog should be super happy.
It's suggesting that you're leaving the ship somehow and going away.
It used to die? They fixed that?
They fixed that.
I assume that now it just ruins all of your space furniture.
And, that's what would happen. Is it would act out? Yeah. You would come back and your warp drive would be all shredded,
or covered in slime, or whatever the fuck this weird dog does. Yeah.
Sorry, Paul's reaction was very, very on point, but so unexpected.
God, the Maricat says if you were gone long enough, they would devolve into goo.
Oh my god.
It's terrifying.
No. Mm-mm.
I would, I'd much rather come home to a dead animal than, like, just a pile of goo that I don't know how it got there, and be walking around, because I'd see it and be like, oh, yuck, and then I'd walk around trying to find my animal and be like, wait, like the realization of what's happening.
It's a video game. It would have, like, a label on it that would say dog or something. Like
you'd have your helmet on and the HUD would say, your dog is now goo, and I'm like, oh, thank you, computer.
Yeah. No, I don't like either of these scenarios.
And also, like, you can pet your dog, but you can't, like, its loyalty drops a whole ton when you're not there, like if you leave for a long time. And you can pet it, and that'll make it like you more. But there's a limit to how much you can do that like per day. So it takes a while for you to like work it back up. I don't like this.
Yeah, I'm not. We watched a video about petting dogs last night on YouTube in video games, and one of the things I really
thought it was just a video about petting dogs in general.
How to pet a dog. 8 great ways to pet a dog.
And one of the things I really liked about what they had said on this video was petting the dog in most video games has no actual gaming mechanic to it. It's just you do it, and the dog, you get like a really cute animation, or the dog like does a cute thing, but ultimately it doesn't like make you game better in that game or give you boosted stats or anything. And it's like one of the only non-gamified things in a video game.
Petting the dog is the reward unto itself.
Yeah. But it's not going to like, oh, I have to do this because, you know, I have to give so-and-so a jar of mayonnaise in Stardew Valley because then they will like me. The dog will just always like you. So you can just pet it if you want to.
I like
that kind of that kind of interaction is more of a meta achievement.
Yeah, so I really like that. And this just takes it and makes it like, oh, the dog will absolutely just hate you now. And I'm like, oh, I don't.
I liked in The Last Guardian. You've got your giant cat, dog, bird thing. Your awesome Trico.
Yeah.
You're this big sort of griffin cat thing that you ride around on. And when he gets mad, which he has to, like, sometimes if there's bad guys, he'll be like and attack the bad guys. You have to like pet him and calm him down afterwards. So that is actually a gameplay thing. In order to get him to, you know, relax so you can get going into the next, to guide him to the next area, you have to pet, scratch.
Yeah.
You can also just do that whenever, because sometimes you want to do it, or you have to feed him treats.
In Breath of the Wild, you can pet your horses, right?
Yeah, you can pet the horses. Have you fed one? You can feed them.
I haven't fed one.
They get much nicer to you.
I feed my motorcycle.
You can feed the horse apples. You can hold the apple up next to it, and it will eat it.
Delicious bokoblin horns.
Which is something I only just discovered like the other day.
That's awesome. I think that's great. I think that, like, it's weird that in Breath of the Wild, it's like, I pet my horse because I need it to calm down, I need to soothe my horse, but there's no thing to, like, soothe the dog.
Yeah. I mean, you can kind of interact with the dog. You can't pet it, which is a little frustrating, but you can like, crouch down and spin around, and sometimes you can get the dog to spin around.
I think Link just assumes in Breath of the Wild that all dogs are service dogs, and he doesn't want to pet them without permission.
They're so cute.
Yeah.
It's true.
Anyway.
World of Tanks is getting a super spoopy Halloween update with serious pedigree.
Yes.
With the two of the original creators behind the Silent Hill series, Michiru Ito and musician Akira Yamaoka, have worked on making this thing, which I feel like the Silent Hill series wouldn't be as scary if you were in a tank.
Yeah.
But somehow they managed this.
You turn around to the tank and there's Pyramid Head. You're like, oh,
wait, boom. Maybe Pyramid Head is also in a tank.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, apparently,
his head just sticks out the top because he's not.
He's got a turret on the end of his tank, or on the end of his head.
Apparently, they have succeeded in making a very spooky tank fighting game. So
Great.
like, there's like mist everywhere, and like the tank comes and it's like all Silent Hill style. So it's all like rusty and has like barbed wire on it and scary stuff like that.
Oh, that's neat.
Does this mean that you can also get the Shiba Inu ending to World of Tanks?
From Silent Hill
I do not know. Is that where where your tank becomes a Shiba Inu? Or
you realize that all of World of Tanks, the whole World of Tanks, has actually just been an elaborate simulation controlled by Shiba Inu. So, anyway. It was in the dog video we were watching.
It was really funny.
It was funny.
Speaking of Halloween, there's a bunch of stories about Halloween events, by the way.
Oh,
Speaking of Halloween
live service
events,
games.
Yeah.
Rainbow Six Siege is they. I think we've talked about previous Halloween events because they tend to go kind of ham on Halloween or special occasions. They've done some quite full conversion things, and they're doing that this time where you can have Muppets. Your characters are now Muppets, like Muppet versions of the things. It's called Sugar Fright.
Yeah.
Is the
That sounds
team
cute.
mode.
Is this meant to be cute?
The
and
team
not
battle
scary?
against each other to see who can collect 50 candies from the bodies of their fallen enemies.
Okay,
So not
so
as cute as you expect.
Not as cute, but doesn't sound
You're
as
still
scary
fighting.
as World
You're
of
still
Tanks.
fighting each other, but you're just Muppets.
Also, yeah, because I noticed when you shoot your opponents or get shot or whatever, it's not blood. There's like no blood that comes out. It's just like it looks like puffs of air. Like it should be like polyfill, right? Because that'd be really
Yeah,
fun.
Oh, polyfill would be great.
Yeah, but it's just like a lot of like puffs of air and dust and stuff because it's like you're just shooting something that doesn't have any actual liquid in its body.
What's great is that you get these. So these skins are part of the Halloween event, which everyone gets them for free as part of the event. But they're going to go away after the event is over. But they can be bought. So that theoretically, I guess you can actually just have you can in an otherwise very serious Rainbow Six hostage rescue mission. One person will just be a month. Which
That would
I
be
feel
terrifying.
I feel like would not be super reassuring to the hostage.
I don't know.
Stay down.
I'm not sure the hostage is ever reassured in a situation like that. That's kind of against the part of where you're the hostage and you're scared.
Yeah.
What other games are getting Halloween events though?
It's not a Halloween event, but Star Wars Squadrons is getting now. What's interesting with Star Wars Squadrons is it's getting a minor content update, but they've actually said they've been very, very explicit, actually saying that it's done.
Right.
We made the game. People bought the game. They get to play the game that they bought.
Okay.
That's it. There's no more game coming.
Right.
Right.
You
okay.
got
that sounds like
you
video
got what
games
you
I
bought.
know.
Yeah.
It's just a normal game. But there's they did a fun little thing here where they added in honor of the new season of The Mandalorian, you can get a baby Yoda or whatever, the child bobblehead for your cockpit.
The alien with no species name, so we just call it Baby Yoda.
Yes. The thing of Yoda. The thing that Yoda is part of.
Yeah.
Yodas.
Makes sense.
And it's just a bobblehead that just sits on your dash.
Which to be honest is not like that much less interaction than the actual Baby Yoda has. Like Baby Yoda in the game in the show is basically just kind of
Yeah.
but is adorable. What else we got going on here?
There is a lot in here.
Yeah.
I like there's been two stories lately coming out of Baldur's Gate 3.
Yes.
About the stats that they're collecting for the because it's in early access or sort of demo release right now. And of course they've been collecting a bunch of stats about how people are playing the game and what parts people are enjoying and all this kind of stuff. And there's been two things where they've been like, hey, one of them being that apparently the most popular character option is like the default sort of boring fantasy white guy.
Yep.
When there's all sorts of cool options in the game. And the default romance choice with all the options in the game, is Gale, who is apparently like the most sort of normal,
Really least threatening option.
least threatening.
Um,
He's got. I mean, I feel like this article on Kotaku may be slightly biased,
No kidding.
but this person seems to be very anti-Gale. He's like the wizard who's got nothing going for him. Very uninteresting. But that's apparently the one most people have.
Well, it's funny you say that because the stats reveal that that's 33% of players pick Gale to romance. And, like, that's a minority. It just happens to be the largest chunk.
yeah, that's true.
I guess. Yeah, it's true. Apparently there are a lot of romance options.
Statistics is really funny that way,
I also
right?
kind of feel like if you have a large number of people just picking the default and playing the game, they're just not interested in the character creator or like they might just want to play the game. I'm assuming Baldur's Gate doesn't put you in first person view because I could see myself not bothering to give myself a
You do show up in the cutscenes in the way you design yourself, though. So if you want to see yourself,
yeah. But I like as I've seen there be people who spend hours upon hours in character creation
in the Monster Factory,
and
yes.
well, no, have you never played?
Oh yeah, I played games
Just,
where
like,
I can have
mess
with
around with
sliders.
stuff because
Yeah.
sliders are fun.
Mhm.
I assume there's also a large amount of people who just want to play the game and don't care.
Yeah, I mean there could also just be a lot of people who look like me playing this game, and so they pick the boring white guy option because it's like I want to look like myself because I can make myself, so I made myself. Right? It's like my avatar, my me. It's like my me. That when I design my me, I'm like, oh Jesus, I look like nothing. My me just looks like my me. It's a little depressing when I look at it. I'm like, shit. There's nothing special about my me at all. He's just a dude with a brown hair and a whip, and then like he's got like a little smile on his face. I'm like, God, this dude is the most boring ass dude.
Wait, did you say you had a whip?
That the little whip in my hair that I
Oh,
Yeah.
whoop, you know, like
Oh man,
it's like
me creator with giving you accessories would be great.
when we were playing Phasmophobia on Wednesday and realized that one of the like characters that it comes with is just Surge.
yeah.
Yeah, that was weird. I mean, that was much more in like it was still not quite Surge, but it was very close to. It's very odd.
It was close enough. Rock Pusher says, I thought we concluded that Ian was in fact a default character model. Have you seen Ian?
He's more like the default villain model.
He's an 1830s industrialist. Like, there aren't people in the world walking around looking like him.
I mean, except for
He's
him.
He's opted for a look that no longer really exists. And that's great. I love my friend, and he looks amazing. It so suits him.
But when game designers want to be like, let's make a cool avatar in this game that looks so weird that it won't look like anybody. It ends up looking like Ian.
And I guess that's what everyone in chat is decided. It's like I don't think that's true at all. Anyway,
in other Rainbow Six news, this is serious Rainbow Six Siege news. There's was a controversy in the pro gaming community for Rainbow Six Siege where a team intentionally threw a match because this is actually I've seen stories I've seen or read about stories like this in like baseball and football and other like in pro sports stuff where you have odd ways or ways that are kind of counterintuitive of calculating like standings and points and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And so basically what it worked out to be is they realized that what they wanted to do was to like they were a lock in for first place, but if they lost this if they lost this game, then that would mean that the person they were playing against would go into second place, which would make the people they didn't want to play against be in third instead of in second. Like it messed up somebody else.
Yeah.
I think that's what the deal was anyway. And so, I guess to some extent it's sort of like, oh, that's how the game is played, but it's also against the rules in the...
It's metagaming.
Intentionally throwing a game is not allowed. And what's funny though is that they had when people saw them playing, they were like, they didn't play as well as they do normally. That's funny.
Right.
And then there was like a ton of speculation as to what was going on, and then people started to run the numbers for this thing, and they were like, interesting. Not really accusing them, but just being like, oh, hey, this is kind of cool that it works out that this might actually, even though they had this poor performance, this might actually work out better for them. As sort of a, this might actually work out better for them. That's interesting. And then the coach of that team retweeted that thing about all the stats with the message, for anyone wondering why we played like that.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, no. Now, okay, why not just forfeit? Because that has to be legal. Like, why couldn't you just be like, you know what? We choose to forfeit this game. We take the loss. Don't even play.
In most tournaments, if you forfeit a match, don't you generally forfeit the whole tournament?
I'm assuming there's
I don't know if that's
reason
true or
why
not.
you can't do that.
Because if it's a series of exhibition games, and you just say that we would end up in a better position if we just forfeited the match. That's one thing, because it's a series of exhibition games. If you're in a tournament, then I can see why it'd be different.
I'm pretty sure if you forfeit a game in a tournament,
You're actually withdrawing from the tournament.
You're actually withdrawing from the tournament. Like, so that's not going to help you at all.
And now, also the team, because another thing you could have done is say, like, you know what we're going to do is we're going to put our second or third string, if you had a team, as opposed to being just like, there's only 5 people on this team. It's like, well, if you need 5 people to play, go to your farm team and be like, we're going to put these 5 people in the game, and they're going to play and get some tournament experience. I don't think
it works that way. In esports, the teams are generally locked in, and you can't like sub out people. In fact, there's been controversies with basically situations where a team has qualified for a big tournament, and then some big controversy happens, and the team that enters the tournament is actually completely different from the team that qualified for the tournament.
Fair.
And so, that causes problems.
Tell a couple of your guys to just go out drinking the night before and stay up really late. And when they don't show up, it's like, shit, well, we can't... You still want us to play? Okay, I guess it's 5-on-3, and then you'll definitely lose, and it'll be like... And then nobody can call you on that, because your two guys are...
The point here is that they would have been fine, and nobody would have called them on it.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you don't need to help them cheat. They've already got that locked down, apparently.
Well, the thing is that it's to me, this doesn't feel like cheating. This feels definitely like metagaming, and I don't know if it's cheating. I think it's metagaming. I think it's like in Formula One, where it's like, what positions do you pick to finish your team in Formula One, so that you have more advantageous position going into the next races.
But I mean, there's a lot of these games. There is things for like poor sportsmanship.
Yes, I will not disagree with that this is poor sportsmanship. But
there's in many leagues, poor sportsmanship itself is enough to get you in trouble. And apparently Formula One has banned that.
The idea of a tournament is that you're to play your best, and that you are to then fight the people that also played their best. And if you're metagaming so that you don't have to fight another person, then that feels like a form of cheating to me.
But when you finish the tournament, you also have to go on to fight the people who founded the tournament, usually in some sort of outer realm.
Oh, that's just an anime. That's not how esports works.
It's Mortal Kombat.
I don't watch
The-
Mortal Kombat. That's a
I
weird anime.
I mean, the answer to most of these situations is that the organization or the structure of the tournament has a problem. Like, if this opportunity is available, then there's something wrong in the structure of the tournament
Yes.
that they didn't think of when they were, how the point structure would be. And it can be fixed, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, all they have to do to stop this is make it so that it doesn't make sense, from a strategic point of view, right?
It would be funny if the thing was, okay, so we're going to have a brief conversation, because they're like, look, if we play and we win this, we end up in a position that's not as advantageous to us. So you're basically telling us that we have to play and we have to play our best and we have to win, because if we lose, it's going to look like we threw the match, so that we'd end up in a more advantageous position. So now, no matter what we do, we're screwed, because if we play our best and we win, then we put ourselves in a disadvantageous position. But if we play and lose the game, people will suspect that we could have played better, and we won't.
If they had played their best and they had ended up losing, people wouldn't have been like, "Oh man, the thing was that they said, wow, they seemed to play really weird that night. I wonder what happened." And there was nobody who was like, "Oh yeah, I went out drinking, or I had a weird emotional state or something, and I feel bad that I didn't play my best." Like, none of that happened.
So my solution is, you have a conversation with the organizers beforehand and say, look, when we win, we would like to be able to dictate where we land in the standings as a result of that. If we'll play and we'll win, and if we win the game, then we want to be in the standing where we want to be. We want to be here. We want to look like we lost.
I feel like you're trying to change the format of the tournament in the middle of the tournament.
Yeah, pretty much.
Doesn't seem like a great idea.
It's probably not even possible to do.
A very poor precedent to set.
How much sleep did you
All right.
get?
So if you are an esports team looking to get do some angle shooting and getting some competitive advantage, apparently Beej is available for consultation.
Do not. Please do not.
If I was a coach, that I'd go and ask. I'd be like, look, we'll play our hardest. If we win, we want the better position. I want to play who I want to play.
I want you to charge very high rates for your consultation fees.
Absolutely.
Okay? I want them to be very astronomically high. And if I hear you on some sort of Skype call,
if I was an esports guy,
I'm going to be very upset.
If I was an esports coach, you'd hear me over the microphones, just like, keep shooting, shoot that guy,
dude, you're peeking the microphone. Calm down.
And they'd be like, we're playing League of Legends.
Yeah.
There's not really shoot. Forget it.
Shoot it with your axe.
They're playing Splatoon, which is a game where you're not supposed to shoot the other people, except you can.
All right, other stuff. One final story. Remember we did that thing about how there's a Pokemon card that went for a redonkulous amount of money?
Yeah.
Our Logic bought an OG Charizard for $183,000. Apparently, so there was this in response to that, or as inspired by that, a group of personalities came together on YouTube. YouTube people came together and for $375,000 purchased the idea was that they were purchasing a box of OG
like first edition Pokemon cards.
First edition a box of first edition Pokemon packs sealed.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then they were going to release do a special event where they open them and do a bunch of stuff with it. There's a whole bunch of these sort of YouTube personalities that a lot of their thing seems to be just like I have a lot of money and watch YouTube videos of me spending it, which
Yeah.
I guess more power to you if that's how you figured out how to make a living.
I mean, I think this thing was supposed to be a charity event that they were going to do or something.
There was going to be some charity involved, yes.
Once they actually obtained the cards.
So they got this box, this sealed box, and they live for $375,000 cracked the box open, and apparently inside this sealed first edition Pokemon box, the packs inside that box were not first edition Pokemon packs.
Oh,
Some of them
well.
weren't even Pokemon cards from the sounds of it. Some of them looked like they were packs that had been resealed.
Ah. It's going to be like, they opened it up and there was an actual real Charizard inside. It had been dead for 20
well,
years.
Well, you make a purchase that's this large for a thing like this. Generally, you do have a person who comes in to verify the thing. And
You may be a personal Pokemon advisor.
You know what? If you want to be a personal Pokemon advisor, you go for it.
I'd be like, keep shooting! Shoot that guy!
You should be. You know what? You go barge in on one of Ben's Pokemon streams and be there for him to advise him on how to play Pokemon. I dare you.
Shoot him with that fish!
I want to see it.
So, I believe in terms of money, I believe it was sorted out. Like they weren't actually out $375,000 because it was clearly a scam.
Mm.
But it was mostly everyone, there's some excellent schadenfreude of everybody laughing at them live on, it's the whatever, opening the Al Capone's vault with nothing inside kind of deal.
Roadmaps! I don't give a shit that this happened to these guys. I think it's super funny.
I mean, nothing really happened, right? It's just like they I guess if this was live and on video, they got to make a piece of content and not spend this much money.
Yeah, and actually probably got even more press out of it than they would have expected.
Yeah, well, for this
no such thing as bad publicity.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I mean, maybe going to Aokigahara and making a video about the Sea of Trees.
Right.
That's
Maybe
true.
that's
true. That could probably be. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Logan Paul. You have disproven the no such thing as bad publicity idea. All right. I think that is all the stories. Oh, there was... we talked a little bit about stuff going on in EVE last time and talked about how great EVE war stories are.
Yeah.
Well, apparently, the latest big battle in EVE was broke 2 Guinness Book of World Records for the largest multiplayer video game PvP battle and the most concurrent participants in a multiplayer PvP battle.
Now, if you gave me the numbers on that, I would have been like, I don't know, that's like 25,000 people, like 30,000 people. Like I would have assumed it's not that much.
8,825, yeah.
Yeah.
But you think this is not just people who are like on the server. This is actually in one big fight.
Yeah, we have a hard time sometimes getting 10 people to show up on a stream. I don't know how they got 8,000 so many people to show up, but good for them.
We
never have wars.
The like mic tests they do before they go online must have just been a huge pain in the butt.
That must be hours. Hours.
Everybody stop talking. Okay. Dave, say something.
Which Dave?
Oh, damn it.
60 Dave.
There's like an echo, but you can hear it over 8,000 different...
Yeah. Somebody put your headphones on.
There also was I just want to mention this because I think it's interesting. So there was another Nintendo Direct Mini. It was a partner showcase, and the line they used in it to introduce it was, "This is the last of the partner showcases we will be doing this year."
ever.
Yes.
Well, they used the full name. It was like the Nintendo Mini Direct Partner Showcase.
Yeah.
Because it's a very long title.
This year. And so, but there's this earlier, in a previous episode, they said they would be doing more partner showcases until the end of the year.
Over the course of the year,
Over the course of the year.
That line's been in all of them. Yeah.
And so now it's the end of October. They've done this one. It's like, well, there's still November and December left, but they've been pretty good about trying to continue. Nintendo's been pretty good about trying to continue putting out news. And so it's like, this is probably the last partner showcase. So it's the last where we can expect anything of a certain like partner level to be released. And now people are there are people apparently on Reddit who are like, but what does that actually mean? Does that mean that we're going to get like an actual Nintendo Direct later in the year? Are we going to get like an indie world?
Speculation is you could get a different kind because they just said that kind. That seems unlikely past November, but it also like they've also been dropping news on Twitter, so they could probably just do some more of that. There might be a thing at the Game Awards, but that's like always a that might happen thing every year. And like, they introduced Joker for Smash at the Game Awards one year. That was very exciting.
It's just interesting to have the kind of that kind of clarity come out of Nintendo regarding marketing for the remainder of like a certain period of time, to be like, it's the last one we're doing this year of this type. And I'm like, normally they just be like, welcome to this event, and they wouldn't mention anything about this is the last one we're doing for the year. So for them to be that clear about here's your expectation, we won't be doing another partner showcase until 2021.
I think they did that because in the other ones they said we will have more of these coming this year. And so if you don't tell people that you don't have more of them coming this year when you've been doing a formula of one once a month since the first one, people are going to get mad at you by the time November ends.
I mean, there's so much like, you know, even there's so much like rampant speculation for all the Nintendo Direct stuff that they probably were like, okay, let's put a bit of a damper on this and just, you know, get the
They've
expectation.
been a little bit better about trying to push expectations downward on certain things. Not that stops people.
No.
Nintendo on the internet is rough. What was the other thing that they did? You said they got 2 Guinness World Book things?
It was for the biggest fight and the most concurrent people. So it was very
so kind
similar.
Of both at the same. Okay.
Yeah. There was 8,800 people in total and something like 6,300 concurrent, which is...
That's pretty awesome.
It's a lot. I bet that, knowing Eve, I bet that server slowed down. Bet there was some pretty... a
lot of trouble in Iceland. Yeah.
Yeah, there's probably some serious time dilation effect happening there.
I didn't know that. I didn't know CCP Games was based out of Iceland.
Yeah. They're, I feel like they're probably, like, one of the biggest companies in Iceland. Oh, the server is in London, apparently.
Okay.
Oh, that
the server.
I mean, I'm sure the servers are all over the world, but
yeah.
That's cool though.
I'm done interrupting with meaningless news, though.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And Beach had nothing interesting for him during that direct. So
speaking of important news, not meaningless news, coming up, we have Friday Night Paper Fight, which is going to be a super fun. It's going to be an arena game, but it's going to be a special Halloween type arena game where we're going to be pitting humans against a series of monstrous decks. One deck for each of the sort of monstery tribes. So that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Who's the human again? Do we know?
James is going to be the human.
Right. James gets to be the human. Decide if you want to cheer for the human or the monsters based on that information.
And then on Saturday, we have a bonus Let's Nope, which is going to be Ben, Adam, James, and Corey and Serge are going to be playing Little Hope, the Dark Pictures anthology, which I believe they played previously. And so they're going to be. This is going to be a multiplayer thing, I believe, using Parsec or Steam Remote Play or something, so that
they're definitely
going to
try to.
Yeah.
I believe there's some testing going on for that.
And then on Sunday we're into November with Rhythm Cafe Rhythm Fighter.
Yep.
Is this a? Didn't you play Rhythm Fighter before? Or is this the new edition?
Ian played it a couple of times, and I needed a rhythm game that wouldn't give us a long story to follow just before Desert Bus. So I'm playing it this time while Ian watches, and I guess we'll find out who is better at the game. I have a suspicion that it will be me.
Wow. And then on Monday, it is the exciting conclusion of the Aliens Heat Death campaign on Dice Friends.
Yeah.
Cameron and Corey and Ian and Adam and Alex are going. We've having some fun times with some so far unidentified alien type creatures. I hope things go well for them.
It's pre-recorded, but that does mean in the unusual twist they'll actually be able to read the chat and talk to you during the game.
Yeah. In the past,
which I know they've been some of them have been doing.
Cam and some of the players have been hanging out in chat and talking about things. And then on Monday we are into Mine O'Clock, followed by Talking Simulator, followed by Let's Nope, where I think they're going to be finishing up Silent Hill. So maybe they can
give
play
you something to do while you're standing in line to vote.
Exactly.
Please go do that.
Please do that if you are in the United States and you haven't already. And also, it's coming up later on, but I should tell you about the Commander Legends pre-release is going to be happening on November 6th. That should be super neat. We're going to be doing draft and sealed for that with a whole bunch of Loading Ready Run crew and a couple of friends, and should be super neat. Let's welcome people who have subscribed during the stream, starting with Jesseria for 32 months. Thank you very much.
Woo! Dr. Strange Owl for 7 months.
Affinity for Fun returns for 18 months. Welcome back.
Sogheim for 1 whole year. Welcome.
Peachy Prieto, 41 months. Welcome.
Heron Blademaster returns for 44 months. Welcome back.
The Hakofo for 49 months.
Galen S for 7 months.
100 Abraham Lincolns in a clown car driving down the interstate for 73 months.
Rakdos Punk 19 for 14 months. Wait, 4 months.
That makes sense.
JPost 042 for 64 months. That's a Nintendo.
Welcome back to Wily Coyote 556, who's been here for 81 months. It's so many months.
Woo. Mordor is bad. Ooh, controversial take.
How could you say something so brave?
For 15 months. Wow. Coming out against Mordor.
Clench Eastwood for that nice amount of months. What we do with nice?
Tostadden has been here for 82 months, which is also so many months.
Denny McGee for 59 months.
We'll go 11 months, getting close to a year.
And first time welcome to the Sub-Ocean, who's been here for 76 months. Welcome
Wow.
back.
Lindsay.
And hasn't been
Wait.
welcomed.
Hang on. The Ocean who subbed
Changed their username.
to the Sub-Ocean.
Yeah.
Okay, because I thought that might be the case, but I was like, that can't be real, is it?
Mhm.
All right, it is real. All right.
Pinball Witch for 35 months.
Gap filler! The filler of gaps. 13 months. What?
Sorry, just...
What? What? It was a catchy
If I
tune.
tell you, it won't be funny.
Oh, well, then definitely don't tell me.
And thank you for 651 bits from Pharaohbender27, Earthen1, and Zento69. The bits. The bits. The bits.
Thanks, everybody.
Should I have said mind the gap instead?
No, it's...
I know people laugh at that for
It
some
was...
reason.
I just realized that I wanna be gap filler. Like, it's the... Like, and rock pusher. Like, they all follow the same frickin' thing. Like a one syllable something followed by a compound word with a two syllable something. And I was just like, oh, there's a lot of these. It's not just like Failhammer or like those guys, but
You're right. This wasn't funny.
right?
Yeah. Okay.
Beach has this
Noun verber. There we go. I want to be noun verber. That's perfect.
Beach has discovered the sledgehammer principle.
Yes. The
Thanks,
sledgehammer doctrine.
thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll be back in just over an hour with Friday Night Paper Fight. Bye.